Hello everyone. A while back I made some videos featuring soundtracks that I have on albums, which for reference point, stacked over there at the end of my bed. Made 3 videos featuring those, and in one of those videos I mentioned I have some soundtracks on CDs, which aren't as collectible of course, but I thought I'd make a video for them anyways. So without further ado, first up is the Amityville Horror. Music composed and conducted by Lalo Schifrin. Backside on the front, got the Amityville Horror house, or at least the facade they used for the movie. This is a very good soundtrack. It's a very scary, creepy soundtrack. The main theme for it's one of my favorites. It's one I recommend you wait for night, climb in bed, turn all the lights off, and turn the stereo up. It's one of the few themes I actually think is scary or creepy. There's a lot of good themes out there, but this is one that actually kind of gets to me a little bit. So it's definitely a soundtrack I recommend, and that's the Amityville Horror. Next up is original Carrie. Got Sissy Spacek there. On the back, got Bloody Carrie walking back from the prom. Music's composed by Pino Donaggio, who I've heard some of his other work. He does orchestral type scores. Actually, a lot of his scores are quite beautiful, not necessarily scary, but they're very good. And that's the case with Carrie. You probably won't hear anything particularly scary or creepy, except perhaps Bucket of Blood. Probably come the closest as far as a horror theme. But it's not actually all instrumental stuff. There is one vocal work, which is a song called Born to Have It All, vocal by Katie Irving. Katie Irving, Katie Irving's the mom of Amy Irving. Amy Irving played Sue Snell in this movie. She was actually the girl that took sympathy with Carrie and had her boyfriend take Carrie to the prom. And Katie Irving, her real life mother, played her movie mom in Carrie as well. And she also got to warble her way through one of the songs. It's not particularly a great vocal performance, but Katie Irving's on here singing as well. And that's Carrie. Next up, got Creepshow, very popular movie, popular soundtrack. The artwork here is what they used on one of the one-sheet posters. The back, you got the eyes of Fluffy. That's the creature from the crate was called. It was nicknamed at least by that. As far as soundtrack, each segment has its own little theme to it. There's some extra stuff on here too. Being a CD, sometimes you get bonus work. They got a few sections from Tales from the Dark Side of the movie that's in here. You got also Mansions of the Moon, and with Shooby Dooby Moon. So you get a few bonus things on here. The main theme for this one's a pretty popular theme. I hear it quite a bit. It's a very good theme. The overall soundtrack is pretty cool, and there's different shifts in it as you go from piece to piece. That's Creepshow, a movie hopefully everybody's familiar with. And a movie definitely everybody should be familiar with is Halloween. This one's the 20th anniversary edition, which would mean it came out in 1998 originally. Backside, a little nookie action going on. The reason I bought this particular version is it actually has excerpts from the movie, dialogue excerpts. Because as great as the main theme is and as well known as it is, it's pretty much the only theme. There's only like 3 different themes which are played over and over and over. And the soundtrack can just get boring quick. So those dialogue excerpts in between each song really break it up and add a little bit of interest. I've read a lot of reviews where people don't like it added in. They just want the straight soundtrack. I prefer this version much more. If you want something a little different, you get, like I said, it's got the dialogue excerpts. And I would recommend it. Now we got Halloween 3. John Carpenter putting the score together for this one. A very simple synthesizer score. Doesn't stand out like the first movie, but not too bad. At the back side, They said otherwise, but I think someone made and burned this copy. I mean, the front image is fuzzy. The back image looks like it's crammed a little bit. Open this up. I mean, even that's kind of a cheap generic font on the disc itself. So if they did burn this and copy the images, they at least did a pretty good job. But I got the soundtrack. It does have the Halloween montage on there. You know, that 2 more days to Halloween, 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 2 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Which takes the melody from London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down, London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. So if you didn't know that, that's where they got that melody from and used it for the commercial used in the movie. Oop. Alright, back in there. And there you got Halloween 3. Phantasm. Perhaps an image you don't see too much associated with the movie, though it is an original image. Got Angus Scrimm as a tall man on the back. Once again, a very good main theme, but like Halloween, it's kind of repeated. Basically, each track is a variation of the main theme. They just kind of played it different. The most amusing version is the Silver Spear Disco. There's a disco version of the main theme, which is used in the movie. The older brother, he goes to a bar. There's a song playing. It's the Silver Spear Disco. If you listen, it incorporates the main theme in it. There is a little bit of outtakes. You get to hear Angus Scream do his famous "boy." I think that's, I'm trying to see. I think it's that end of the game. I think it's track 16. 16 or 17 you actually get to hear that. Otherwise, it's all instrumentals. And there you have Phantasm. Return of the Living Dead. Very popular 80s movies. Movie soundtrack features pretty much all punk rock music. We got the Cramps, the Surfer Dead, which is a song I believe they actually wrote for the movie. Got 45 Grave doing Party Time, zombie version. That's because they actually changed the lyrics to suit the movie a little more. The song had actually been used in at least one other movie, Hard Bodies, which was an early 80s kind of raunchy R-rated comedy. There's Party Time was using that before Return of the Living Dead. Got used again, then they changed the lyrics a little bit. Also, Hard Bodies has James Cameron in it. Or he was in the sequel. There's a Hard Bodies 2 and James Karen, I think, was in Hard Bodies 2. He might have been the first one. James Cameron's also in this movie, so there's another little bit of a connection besides the song between the two. The one thing this doesn't have, get my reflection off there. The one thing this doesn't have is the trioxin theme. Not everything's punk rock music. You got that song that's usually used through the opening credits. But they didn't include it on this. If you go on YouTube and you type the trioxin theme in, you can hear the theme in full. But unfortunately, it's not on this version of the soundtrack. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't have the front to the case anymore. 25 years of absolute pleasure. It's been far more than 25 years by now. Now I got Richard O'Brien as Riff Raff in the back. But like the Halloween Anniversary Edition, this one also includes dialogue excerpts taken from the movie, which adds a lot to the fun. I've heard the original soundtrack. My first stepdad actually had the original one, which I'm not even sure if it quite includes all the songs, but this one does. And besides the dialogue, you also get a bonus track, which is called Once in a While, which is sang by Brad. They dropped it from the movie because it's a very slow ballad. It's a good, nice ballad, but director, which is this guy right here, said it stopped the movie dead. It was right in the middle of the movie. You all of a sudden had this slow song, and he said it just ground everything to a halt. So that's why they didn't include it in the movie. It was in the original stage production. And they ended up slipping it back in here for this 25th anniversary edition. So pretty cool. Starting to run a little long. Try to get through at least the next few here. Next up, we got Grease, one of the most popular, best-selling soundtracks of all time. Actually, interesting thing about this one is it includes a lot of songs that was used from the big dance number. That was, you know, in the movie. There's at the high school they're going to have a televised dance, and you don't hear a lot of songs, just little bits from the band that was kind of the warm-up band playing stuff. But they include all the songs that was in full on the soundtrack, which is kind of nice. But there's several songs and it gets kind of tiresome, and just kind of want to get back to the more original music. Another problem I have with this is the songs are all out of order. You'd think they would put in order as the movie had it. So anytime I throw this in the player, I always program it so it's in the proper order. But very famous soundtrack. Some songs on there I like. I'm going to move on now to the Repo Man. Very popular 80, well, a cult following at any rate. Emilio Estevez there. Harry Dean Stanton in the background. Punk songs, other stuff. Got Repo Man by Iggy Pop, which I guess he wrote for the movie. TV Party by Black Flag, one of my favorites. Suicidal Tendencies are on here. Now I've got Hombre Secreto by the Plugs. Pretty cool, funny, mostly humorous songs are used on here. Really love this movie, saw it back in the 80s. Pretty fun soundtrack. If you're into 80s movies and punk music, that could be for you. A couple Quentin Tarantino things coming up. Reservoir Dogs. His directorial debut, Tarantino's. I think there's a couple dialogue excerpts in here as well. I'm trying to... Let's Get a Taco is one of them. But just various songs that you heard in the movie thrown in here. Nothing original done for the movie. Just stuff Tarantino liked and included. We got another Quentin Tarantino, Kill Bill Volume 1. A very eclectic mix of music. You got all sorts of songs put on here. Different artists, different styles and tempos. Some stuff taken from TV shows and movies. And like I said, it was a pretty good soundtrack. And definitely shouldn't get too bored listening to it, because it just... Let's see, there's about 17 different things. Some things are just quick little excerpts of stuff, but... Pretty cool soundtrack. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm running over the 12-minute mark, and I want to squeeze this in, which is Goblin, classic Italian soundtrack. Their hits, rare takes, and outtakes collection, 1975 to 1989. And what this is basically a compilation. So you got various tracks from various movies they did scores for, including Profondo Rosso, which is Italian for Deep Red. Suspiria, which you only have the main title for that, which is probably one of the best things they ever did. Patrick's on here, Contamination, Tenebrae, Phenomena, and several other things. So if you're into Italian horror movies, you probably heard of Goblin. Very cool band. They've done a lot of good soundtrack work, a lot of neat themes, and this gives you a nice little compilation. As I said, in fact, Goblin's on tour right now. Unfortunately, they're not going to be coming to Arizona. They're going to Seattle, Washington. I have a cousin who lives up there. When they hit Seattle, he plans on seeing them. But I live in Arizona, so I'm out of luck. Would like to see them, but I got the soundtrack, so I guess I can remember their music. But anyway, that's going to do it for this segment. I'll make a little bit shorter video next time, which will feature these things here, which are horror movie themes. Some of the Halloween stuff. Got the Dickies, got Halloween Hootenanny, put out by Rob Zombie with various surf rock bands, Midnight Syndicate, some anime soundtracks over there. But for those of you who have watched this and stuck around to the end, thank you very much. I hope you come around for part 2. See you later. Bye.